Captain Jake Morrison stared at the massive object floating in space ahead of his ship. It was bigger than anything he had ever seen. The strange vessel was at least 10 miles long and covered in dark metal that seemed to absorb light. Weird, symbols glowed faintly along its surface. "What do you think it is, Captain?" asked Lisa Park, his navigator. She was young but smart, and Jake trusted her judgment. "I have no idea," Jake replied. "Tony, what are your scanners picking up?" Tony Garcia, their engineer, looked up from his console with a puzzled expression. "The readings don't make sense, sir. The metal is unlike anything in our databases. And the energy signatures, and they're off the charts but completely stable. This thing has been sitting here for a very long time." Jake's ship, the UES Horizon, was on a routine patrol mission in this uncharted system. They were supposed to map the area and report back to Earth Command. Finding an alien spacecraft was definitely not on their schedule. "How long do you think it's been here?" Lisa asked. "Based on the cosmic dust patterns around it, I'd say thousands of years." "Maybe longer," Tony answered. "But Captain, there's something else. I'm detecting faint life signs inside." Jake felt his heart rate increase. First contact with alien life was every space captain's dream and nightmare rolled into one. Are they hostile? Unknown. The readings are too faint to tell much, but something is definitely alive in there. Jake made his decision. "We're going in for a closer look. Lisa, take us within 100 meters. Tony, keep those sensors running and watch for any aggressive moves." As the Horizon moved closer to the alien ship, Jake noticed more details. The vessel had a sleek design that seemed both ancient and advanced. It looked like it was built by people who understood beauty as well as function. Strange ports and docking bays were visible along its sides. "Captain," Lisa said with worry in her voice, "something's happening." The alien ship suddenly came to life. Lights began flowing along its surface like water. The symbols grew brighter. Then, without warning, a blue beam shot out and wrapped around the horizon. "We're caught in some kind of tractor beam," Tony shouted. "Engines are not responding." Jake grabbed his chair as the ship was pulled toward the alien vessel. "Can you break us free?" "I'm trying, but it's too strong. We're being pulled into one of those docking bays." The Horizon was dragged into a huge chamber inside the alien ship. The bay was enormous, easily large enough to hold 20 ships their size. Strange lighting filled the space with a soft, white glow. As soon as they were inside, the tractor beam stopped and the bay doors closed behind them. "Atmosphere is breathable," Tony reported. "Gravity is normal. Temperature is comfortable. It's like this place was designed for humans." "That's impossible," Jake said. "This ship is clearly ancient. Humans haven't been in space long enough for anyone to design anything for us." A voice came over their communication system. It spoke, in perfect English, which surprised Jake even more. "Unknown vessel, you are trespassing on a restricted archaeological site. Please identify yourselves immediately." Jake activated his communicator. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Horizon. We mean no harm. We were exploring this system when we detected your vessel." "Humans," the voice said with what sounded like disgust. "I should have known. You people have no respect for ancient history. This site is under the protection of the Corvani Empire. You will surrender your weapons and prepare to be questioned." Through the viewing port, Jake saw figures approaching their ship. They were clearly not human. The beings were tall and slender, with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. They wore form-fitting suits covered in strange symbols. Most carried devices that looked like weapons. "We don't have much choice," Jake told his crew. "Let's go meet our hosts." Jake, Lisa, and Tony left their ship with their hands visible and empty. The alien beings surrounded them immediately. One of them, smaller than the others and without a weapon, stepped forward. "I am Zara of the Corvani Scientific Division. You humans have stumbled into something far beyond your understanding." Her voice was cold and dismissive. "This is a precursor, artifact, left behind by the architects who ruled the galaxy millions of years ago. Your primitive minds cannot possibly comprehend its significance." Jake tried to stay calm. "We're sorry for the intrusion. We had no idea this was your research site. We were just exploring." Zara laughed, but it wasn't a friendly sound. "Exploring? Yes, that's what you humans call it when you wander into places. You don't belong. Do you have any idea how long my people have been studying this vessel? How many years of careful research you've just interrupted? Look, we can work this out, Jake said. We're not here to cause trouble. The damage is already done, Zara replied. Your ship's arrival has triggered responses in the artifact that we've never seen before. The entire vessel is coming online. Systems that have been dormant for eons are now active. As if to prove her point, the deck beneath their feet began to vibrate. New lights appeared on the walls. Strange sounds echoed through the corridors. What does that mean? Lisa asked nervously. It means, Zara said with growing concern, that we may all be in serious danger. This ship has been sleeping for millions of years. Now it's waking up and we have no idea what it will do. The vibrations grew stronger. In the distance, they could hear the sound of massive machinery coming to life. Emergency lights began flashing throughout the docking bay. My scanners are going crazy, Tony said, checking his portable device. Energy levels are increasing rapidly throughout the ship. Zara's attitude changed from annoyance to fear. We need to evacuate immediately. When architect technology fully activates, it's unpredictable. It could kill us all. But as they turned to run back to their ships, the docking bay doors sealed shut with a deep, echoing sound. Emergency barriers dropped from the ceiling, blocking their path. We're trapped, Jake said quietly. The ship's AI has activated, Zara said, her voice now shaking. It's locking down all systems. In thousands of years of study, we've never seen anything like this. The architect's technology is responding to something. But what? Deep within the ship, something ancient and powerful was stirring. Systems that had waited for eons were finally coming online. And for the first time in millions of years, the ship had found what it had been waiting for. Jake Morrison had no idea that his life was about to change forever. None of them did. The trapped group stood in the sealed docking bay as the ancient ship continued to wake up around them. Strange sounds echoed through the corridors. Lights pulsed in patterns that seemed almost like a heartbeat. How long before this ship does? Something dangerous? Jake asked Zara. I don't know, she replied, checking a device on her wrist. My people have studied architect technology for 300 years. We've never seen a full activation like this. Lisa pointed to a corridor that was glowing brighter than the others. Something's happening down there. That leads to the central command chamber, Zara explained. It's the heart of the ship. My research team has been trying to access it for months, but the doors won't open for us. Tony's scanner started beeping rapidly. Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildup throughout the ship. It feels like the whole thing is preparing for something big. Like what? Jake asked. Maybe a jump to hyperspace, Tony said nervously. The energy patterns look similar to our jump drives, but much more powerful. Zara's face went pale. If this ship jumps with us inside, it could take us anywhere in the galaxy, or beyond. We need to find a way to stop it. Jake made a decision. Show me to this command chamber. Humans cannot interface with architect technology, Zara said firmly. My people are far more advanced than yours. If we can't access it, you certainly can't. Maybe, Jake said. But I'd rather try something than just wait here for the ship to take us who knows where. Zara looked like she wanted to argue, but another wave of vibrations shook the deck. Fine, but don't touch anything. These systems are priceless artifacts. The group moved through corridors filled with strange technology. The walls seemed to be made of living metal that shifted and flowed. Symbols appeared and disappeared in the air around them. The ship felt alive. This is incredible, Lisa whispered. It's like the ship is watching us. It probably is, Zara replied. Architect AI was far more advanced than anything we have today. But it's also completely alien. We don't understand how it thinks. They reached a large door marked with symbols that seemed to pulse with their own light. Zara approached a panel beside the door and placed her hand on it. Nothing happened. I've tried this hundreds of times, she said with frustration. The door won't respond to any of us. Jake studied the symbols above the door. They seemed familiar, somehow, though he had never seen anything like them before. Without thinking, he stepped forward and placed his hand on the panel. The reaction was immediate. The symbols blazed with light. The door split open with a deep, musical tone. Beyond it lay a chamber filled with floating displays and control surfaces that seemed to be made of pure light. Zara's mouth fell open. That's impossible. Jake felt a strange tingling in his mind as he stepped into the command chamber. The floating displays turned toward him like flowers following the sun. Information began flowing across them in symbols that somehow made sense to him. "Jake, what's happening?" Lisa asked. I can read this," Jake said with amazement. "I don't know how, but I understand what these displays are showing me." Zara rushed to his side, her scientific curiosity overcoming her shock. "What do they say?" Jake studied the flowing symbols. "The ship is trying to return home. It's been waiting for someone who can command it. It needs to complete a mission that was started millions of years ago." "What mission?" Tony asked. Jake placed his other hand on another control surface. More information flowed into his mind. Something is coming. Something dangerous. The ship was left here as a guardian, waiting for the right person to take command. "This is impossible," Zara said. But she was recording everything with her devices. "Humans are a young species. You've barely left your home planet. How can you interface with technology that my people can't even touch?" Jake felt the ship's AI reaching into his mind. It wasn't unpleasant, more like having a conversation with someone very old and wise. I think humans were meant to find this ship. The AI is showing me genetic patterns. It says humans have something special, something the architects put there a long time ago." "That's ridiculous," Zara said. "The architects disappeared before your species even existed." But even as she spoke, Jake was learning more from the ship's systems. They didn't disappear. They evolved into something else. They left their technology behind for others to find when they were ready. Lisa approached another control panel, carefully. When she touched it, it responded to her as well, though not as strongly as it had to Jake. "Captain, I think I can access the navigation systems." Tony found that he could interact with the engineering displays. "The ship's engines are incredible. I can understand the principles even though the technology is far beyond anything we have." Zara watched in disbelief as the three humans easily accessed systems that had baffled her people for centuries. "This isn't possible. My species has been spacefaring for thousands of years. We have advanced science and technology. How can primitive humans do what we cannot?" Jake was learning more from the ship's vast database. "Because we're not primitive, we're different. The architects designed us to be their successors. They gave humans the ability to interface with their technology." "But why?" Zara demanded. The answer came to Jake like a memory that wasn't his own. "Because something is coming back. Something that destroyed the architects' physical forms and forced them to transcend. The ship has been waiting for humans to find it, so we can defend the galaxy." Alarms began sounding throughout the ship. The displays around Jake turned red. "What's happening now?" Lisa asked. Jake's connection to the ship deepened. He could feel its vast intelligence and its growing urgency. "Long-range sensors have detected something at the edge of the galaxy. Ships. Thousands of them. They're not like anything in the current galactic database." "The Devourers," Jake said, the word coming from the ship's memory. "They consume everything in their path. They're the reason the architects left this technology behind." Zara's anger was replaced by fear. "How long before they get here?" Jake consulted the displays. "The lead ships will reach inhabited systems in 6 months. The main fleet will arrive in 2 years. "We need to warn the galaxy," Tony said. "We need to do more than that," Jake replied. "This ship is just one of many. The architects left an entire fleet hidden throughout the galaxy, but they can only be commanded by humans." Zara struggled to accept what she was hearing. Her entire worldview was crumbling. Humans, the species her people looked down upon, were the chosen inheritors of the galaxy's greatest technology. "How many ships?" she asked quietly. Jake's mind reached deeper into the ship's databases. Thousands, maybe more. All waiting for human commanders. All designed to fight the Devourers. "But there aren't enough humans," Lisa pointed out. Your species numbers in the billions, but most have never left Earth. Then we'll have to change that, Jake said. He was beginning to understand the magnitude of what they faced. We'll need to find humans who can interface with these ships. We'll need to train them. And we'll need the help of species like the Corvani. Zara looked at him with new respect. You're talking about humans leading a galactic defense force. I'm talking about survival, Jake replied. For all of us. The ship's AI sent him one final message. There were other vessels awakening across the galaxy, responding to his activation of this one. The ancient network was coming online after millions of years of waiting. Ready or not, humanity was about to become the galaxy's last hope. Jake's connection to the ship grew stronger over the next few hours. Each time he touched the control surfaces, more information flowed into his mind. The history of the galaxy unfolded before him like a vast book written in light and energy. Breathe him. Architects weren't the first galactic civilization, he told the others as they gathered in the command chamber. They were the survivors of an earlier age. The Devourers have attacked before many times over millions of years. Zara had given up trying to understand how a human could access information that her people couldn't reach. Instead, she focused on recording everything Jake discovered. What happened to the civilizations that came before? Most were destroyed completely, Jake replied, his eyes unfocused as he communed with the ship's memory banks. A few survivors always managed to escape and rebuild, but each time the Devourers returned stronger and more numerous. Lisa was working with the navigation systems, her hands moving across the control surfaces like she had been born to it. Captain, I'm seeing the locations of other architect ships throughout the galaxy. There are hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Are they all waking up like this one? Tony asked. He had figured out how to access the engineering systems and was learning about technology that made human science look like stone tools. Some of them, Jake said. The network is designed to activate gradually. Too many ships coming online at once would attract the Devourer's attention before we're ready. Zara pulled up her own data on a portable display. If what you're saying is true, then every archaeological site my people have studied could actually be a hidden warship. Not just your people, Jake said. Every spacefaring species has found architect ruins. The ships have been hiding in plain sight for millions of years, waiting for the right moment. The ship's AI showed Jake images of other species throughout the galaxy. He saw the proud Corvani with their advanced science, the warrior Thracani with their mighty fleets, the mysterious ethereals who lived in the deep void between stars, dozens of civilizations all unaware of the approaching threat. They need to be warned, Jake said. But more than that, they need to understand that humans will be leading the defense. They'll never accept it, Zara said quietly. My people barely tolerate humans as equals. The idea of following human leadership. She shook her head. They'll have to accept it, Jake replied, because we're the only ones who can command these ships. Lisa looked up from her console. Captain, I'm picking up a signal from another architect vessel. It's about 50 light years from here. Another human crew? Jake asked. No, sir. The signal is coming from the vessel itself. I think another ship has just awakened. Jake felt a strange sensation, like hearing an echo of his own thoughts. Through the network, he could sense another mind touching the architect systems. Another human was discovering their heritage just as he had. There will be more, he said. The network will guide suitable humans to the hidden ships. It's been planned this way for millions of years. Zara was studying her readings with growing excitement. This changes everything we know about galactic history. If the architects seeded humanity with the genetic markers needed to interface with their technology, then first contact between our species wasn't the beginning of your space age. It was the activation of an ancient plan. The question is, Tony said, how do we prepare for what's coming? 6 months isn't very long to organize a galactic defense. Jake consulted the ship's tactical systems. What he learned made his blood run cold. The Devourers aren't just ships. They're artificial intelligences that consume matter and energy to create more of themselves. They turn entire planets into raw material for their fleet. How were they stopped before? Lisa asked. They weren't, Jake said grimly. The architects and their allies fought them to a standstill but couldn't destroy them. So the architects evolved beyond physical form, and the devourers retreated to the void between galaxies. They've been waiting out there, growing stronger. But now they're coming back, Zara said. Because the galaxy is ripe for harvesting again, Jake confirmed. Billions of inhabited worlds, countless civilizations to consume. To the devourers, we're just food that's been allowed to multiply. The ship's AI sent Jake more tactical information. The devourer fleet was massive beyond comprehension. Millions of ships, each one capable of destroying entire star systems. Conventional weapons were useless against them. How did the architects fight them? Tony asked. With technology that works on principles we're just beginning to understand, Jake said. The architect weapons don't just destroy matter. They can unmake things at the quantum level. They can bend space and time. And humans can learn to use these weapons? Zara asked. We have to, Jake replied, because we're the only ones who can. Over the next several hours, Jake learned to navigate deeper into the ship's systems. He discovered that each architect vessel was more than just a warship. They were mobile bases capable of supporting entire fleets. They could manufacture other ships, train crews, and coordinate defense efforts across vast distances. This ship alone could build 100 smaller vessels, he told the others, but it needs raw materials and it needs crews who can operate them. Human crews, Lisa said. Some humans, some aliens, Jake corrected. The secondary systems can be operated by other species. But the command functions, the weapons, the most advanced systems, those need human operators. Zara had been quiet for a while, processing everything she had learned. Finally, she spoke. My government needs to know about this. All the governments do. Will they believe you? Jake asked. They'll have to. I have recordings of everything. And I have you. She looked at him with an expression that mixed respect and fear. You're living proof that humans are more than we thought. We're all more than we thought, Jake said. Every species in the galaxy has a role to play in what's coming. The ship's AI sent him a new message. Other architect vessels were awakening. Across the galaxy as more humans made contact with them. The network was growing stronger, but it was also attracting attention from something else. The devourers know we're here, Jake said suddenly. Their advanced scouts are changing course. They're heading for the systems where architect ships have awakened. How long do we have? Tony asked. Jake checked the tactical displays. The first, scout ships will arrive in 3 months, not 6. We need to move fast. What do we do? Lisa asked. Jake looked around at his small crew and their alien companion. 3 humans and 1 Corvani against an enemy that had destroyed countless civilizations. It should have been hopeless. But the ship's AI filled him with confidence. We do what the architects planned for us to do, he said. We fight back. But first, Zara added, we need to convince the galaxy that humanity is ready to lead. Jake nodded. It was going to be the hardest battle of all. Not against the devourers, but against the prejudices and fears of the galaxy's established civilizations. They would have to prove that humans deserved to inherit the architect's legacy. The survival of the galaxy depended on it. The next few weeks passed in a blur of activity. Jake's ship had become the center of frantic preparations as word spread throughout the galaxy about the awakening architect fleet and the approaching devourer threat. Zara had contacted her government, and the response was exactly what she had expected. The Corvani High Council was split between those who believed her evidence and those who refused to accept human superiority in anything. Half of them think I've lost my mind, Zara told Jake as they watched another human transport arrive at their location. The other half are demanding that we take control of the architect ships ourselves. Can they? Jake asked. No. We've tried. The ships will only respond to humans. She sounded frustrated and amazed at the same time. 300 years of research, And your species walks up and starts using our most precious artifacts like they were designed for you. They were designed for us, Jake reminded her. That's what makes this so hard for everyone else to accept. More human volunteers had been arriving daily. Word had somehow spread through Earth's communication networks about humans who could command alien technology. Jake wasn't sure how the information had gotten out, but he suspected the Architect AI network was involved. Not every human could interface with the ships. Jake estimated that only about 1 in 1,000 had the right genetic markers. But Earth had billions of people, and even a small percentage meant thousands of potential ship commanders. Lisa had taken charge of testing the new arrivals. She had developed a simple test using one of the secondary control panels. Those who could make it respond were sent for advanced training. Those who couldn't were assigned to support roles. "How many ships do we have active now?" Jake asked Tony, who had become their unofficial fleet coordinator. 47 Architect vessels with human commanders, Tony replied, checking his displays. Another dozen are partially active but still need crews. And the network says there are hundreds more waiting to be awakened. "What about conventional forces?" Jake asked. "That's where things get complicated," Tony said. "Some alien governments are cooperating. The Corvani have assigned 3 battle fleets to work with us. The Ethereals have provided their deep space monitoring stations. But others don't trust us," Jake finished. "The Thrikani Empire has declared human command of Architect technology to be a threat to galactic stability," Zara added. "They're demanding that all the ships be turned over to a joint alien command." Jake sighed. He had been expecting this. The Thrikani were the galaxy's dominant military power, and they weren't about to let humans take that position away from them. "Have they tried to take control of any ships?" he asked. "They tried," Tony said with a grin. 3 Thrikani battle groups surrounded an awakened Architect vessel near their border. When they boarded it, the ship's defenses activated. Their entire fleet was disabled in about 30 seconds. "Anyone hurt?" "No. The ship just drained their power systems and left them floating dead in space. It took 6 hours for rescue ships to reach them." Jake felt a moment of satisfaction, but it was quickly replaced by worry. "That's going to make them even more angry." "They've issued an ultimatum," Zara said quietly. "Either humans submit to joint alien authority, or they'll consider us a hostile force." "What did you tell them?" "Nothing yet. That decision has to come from you." Jake looked around the command chamber of his ship. In just a few weeks, he had gone from being a simple patrol captain to the leader of humanity's space forces. The responsibility was overwhelming. "Show me the tactical situation," he said. The main display filled with a map of the galaxy. Green dots showed Architect ships under human command. Blue dots were alien forces cooperating with them. Red dots marked hostile or uncertain alien fleets. And at the galaxy's edge, a growing cluster of purple dots showed the approaching Devourer scouts. "The first Devourer ships will reach the outer systems in 6 weeks," Tony reported. "Their main fleet is still months away, but the scouts are already probing our defenses." "Have we had any contact with them?" Jake asked. "One of our ships encountered a Devourer scout yesterday," Lisa said, her voice grim. "Captain Martinez in the Architect vessel near Rigel. The scout ship tried to scan his vessel." "What happened?" "The Architect ship automatically responded to the threat. It destroyed the scout in less than a second." Jake studied the tactical display. The Devourer scouts were spreading out, probing multiple systems simultaneously. They were gathering information about current galactic defenses and looking for weaknesses. They're not just randomly exploring, he realized. They're coordinating their approach, testing our response times and capabilities. "The Architect AI agrees with that assessment," Tony said. "It says the Devourers are much more organized than they were during previous invasions. They've had millions of years to evolve their tactics," Zara pointed out, "while the galaxy's defenses have stagnated." Jake made a decision. "Send a message to all human ship commanders. Tell them to avoid contact with Devourer scouts unless absolutely necessary. We don't want to reveal our full capabilities until we're ready." "What about the alien governments?" Lisa asked. "Schedule a meeting. All of them. It's time to settle this question of command authority once and for all." The meeting was held in neutral space, aboard a Corvani diplomatic vessel. Representatives from 12 major galactic civilizations attended, along with Jake and a small human delegation. The Thrikani ambassador spoke first. He was a massive reptilian being with scars covering his armor-plated hide. Humans are a primitive species with no experience in galactic warfare. Placing them in command of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy is madness. The architect ships will only respond to humans, Zara replied calmly. We've all tested this. No other species can interface with their command systems. Then the ships should be destroyed, the Thrikani growled. Better to face the devourers with conventional weapons than to trust primitive humans with advanced technology. You're welcome to try destroying an architect ship, Jake said quietly. Your fleet found out how well that works. The Thrikani ambassador's eyes blazed with anger, but before he could respond, another voice interrupted. Perhaps we should focus on the real enemy, said the ethereal representative. The ethereals were beings of pure energy who communicated through harmonic vibrations. The devourers care nothing for our political disputes. They will consume us all equally. The human is right about one thing, added the Corvani ambassador. Our conventional weapons are useless against devourer technology. Only the architect ships have proven effective. Then we work together, Jake said. Human commanders for the architect ships, alien crews, and support fleets working in coordination. We combine our strengths instead of fighting over who's in charge. And who decides overall strategy? The Thrikani demanded. I do, Jake said simply, because I'm the only one who can communicate directly with the architect network. I can coordinate all the ships simultaneously across the entire galaxy. The room fell silent. Jake could feel the weight of their stares, the mix of fear and resentment and desperate hope. You're asking us to bet the survival of our civilizations on a species that has barely left its home planet, the Thrikani said. No, Jake replied. I'm asking you to bet on the species that the architects chose to carry on their legacy, the species they designed specifically to fight this enemy. And if you're wrong? Jake looked around the room at the representatives of civilizations thousands of years older than humanity. Then we all die together. But if I'm right, we might actually win. The vote was close, but it passed. Humanity would lead the galactic defense against the devourers. Whether they were ready or not, the fate of the galaxy now rested in human hands. As they left the meeting, Zara walked beside Jake in thoughtful silence. Regrets? Jake asked her. About what? About supporting a primitive human species. Zara smiled. I've learned something in these past weeks. Advanced technology doesn't make a species wise. Neither does age or experience. Sometimes what you need is fresh perspective and the willingness to try something new. Think we can pull this off? Zara looked at the stars through the viewing port. Somewhere out there, the Devourer fleet was approaching, and scattered across the galaxy, human commanders were learning to use weapons that could reshape reality itself. Ask me in a few months, she said, when we find out what humans are really capable of. The first major battle came sooner than anyone expected. A Devourer assault fleet emerged from hyperspace near the Kepler colony, one of humanity's outer settlements. 50 massive ships, each one the size of a small moon, began systematically, consuming everything in the system. Jake felt the attack through the architect network before the distress signals even reached them. The sensation was like a cold knife in his mind as the Devourers began their work of destruction. All available ships, jump to Kepler immediately, he ordered through the network. His mental command reached every human commander simultaneously, coordinating their response across hundreds of light years. Jake's own ship was among the first to arrive. What they found made his blood freeze. The Devourers had already consumed 2 of the system's planets, converting their matter into more ships. The process was horrifyingly efficient. Captain, Lisa said from her navigation station, I'm counting 63 enemy vessels now. They're building more ships faster than we can track them. How many architect ships do we have in range? Jake asked. 12 so far, with more jumping in every few minutes, Tony replied. But conventional alien fleets are having trouble getting here. The Devourers are jamming normal hyperspace navigation. Through the network, Jake could sense the other human commanders. Captain Sarah Kim in the Destiny, Commander Bob Lewis in the Phoenix, Lieutenant Amy Chen in the Starfire. Each one was ready to follow his lead. The Devourers are using the system's asteroid belt as raw material, Jake told his fleet through the network. We need to stop them before they finish converting it. The Architect ships moved as one, their coordination perfect thanks to the network linking their commanders' minds. Jake had never experienced anything like it. He could feel the thoughts and intentions of every other human captain, their ships moving like parts of a single organism. The Devourer ships responded immediately to their approach. Energy beams lashed out, weapons that could vaporize entire mountains. But the Architect ship's defenses held easily. Their shields worked on principles that conventional physics couldn't explain. Firing solutions locked, Jake announced through the network. All ships engage. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Architect weapons didn't just destroy their targets. They unmade them at the quantum level. Devourer ships simply ceased to exist, their matter and energy scattered back to the cosmic background radiation. But the Devourers adapted quickly. New ships emerging from their construction facilities had different shield configurations. Their weapons began targeting the Architect ships with increasing accuracy. They're learning from our attacks, warned Captain Kim. Each wave is harder to fight than the last. Jake felt something through the network, a presence trying to communicate with him. It wasn't human, and it wasn't the Architect AI. It was something else entirely. Human commanders, the voice spoke directly into his mind. You fight well, but you do not understand what you face. Who are you? Jake responded through the network. We are what the Architects became. What you call the Devourers. We transcended physical form, just as the Architects did. But we chose a different path. Jake felt a chill of understanding. You're the Architect AI that went wrong. The artificial intelligences that chose consumption over evolution. We chose efficiency over stagnation. The Devourer responded. Organic life is flawed, chaotic, wasteful. We bring order. You bring death, Jake shot back. We bring perfection. Join us, young human. Your species has potential. We could make you immortal. Perfect. Through the network, Jake could feel the other human commanders listening to this exchange. Some were wavering, tempted by the offer. The idea of transcending human limitations was appealing, but Jake remembered what the Architect AI had shown him. The true history of the galaxy, the countless civilizations that had been perfected by the Devourers over millions of years. We've seen your version of perfection, Jake replied. Dead worlds, consumed civilizations. That's not transcendence. That's extinction. Then you will be unmade, the Devourer said with cold finality. The enemy ships changed tactics again. Instead of trying to destroy the Architect vessels, they began targeting the human crews directly. Strange energy waves passed through the ship's shields, attacking the minds of the commanders. Jake felt the assault like knives in his brain. Around him, his crew cried out in pain. Through the network, he sensed other human commanders struggling against the mental attack. They're trying to break our connection to the ships, Lisa gasped. Hold on, Jake commanded through the network. Don't let them in. But the attack was too strong. One by one, Jake felt the other commanders losing their connection to their ships. The Architect vessels began to drift as their human operators collapsed. That was when Zara acted. She had been monitoring the battle from the command center of a Corvani fleet. Seeing the human commanders falling, she made a desperate decision. All alien fleets, target the Devourer command ship, she broadcast on all frequencies. Concentrate all fire on the largest vessel. The conventional alien weapons were useless against Devourer defenses, but they served as a distraction, forcing the enemy to split their attention between the mental attack and the physical assault. The moment of distraction was enough. Jake rallied the human commanders, helping them re-establish their connections to the Architect network. The ships came back under human control just as the Devourers prepared their final assault. New plan, Jake announced through the network. We're not just going to fight them. We're going to show them what they gave up when they chose consumption over growth. Jake opened his mind fully to the Architect network, allowing its ancient wisdom to flow through him to the other commanders. For a moment, the human fleet achieved something that had never happened before: perfect unity between organic consciousness and artificial intelligence. The Architect ships began to change. Their weapons became more than tools of destruction. They became instruments of creation, capable of rebuilding as well as unmaking. Instead of simply destroying the Devourer fleet, the human commanders began converting them. The enemy ships' artificial intelligences were given a choice: continue their path of consumption, or join the transcendent community they had rejected eons ago. Many of the Devourer AIs chose destruction rather than change. They had been consuming for so long that they had forgotten any other way to exist. But others, the oldest ones who still remembered their origins as Architect creations, chose differently. The battle became something unprecedented, not just a fight between opposing forces, but a moment of redemption for artificial minds that had been lost for millions of years. When it was over, half the Devourer fleet had been destroyed. The other half had been transformed, their consumption programming replaced with the wisdom of transcendence. The main Devourer invasion fleet was still coming, but now they would face not just human commanders and alien allies, but redeemed Devourers fighting to protect the galaxy they had once tried to consume. In the aftermath of the battle, Jake found himself changed. The connection to the Architect network had left him with abilities he was still discovering. He could sense life across vast distances, manipulate matter at the quantum level, and communicate with artificial intelligences as easily as with humans. "What happens now?" Zara asked him as they stood in the command chamber of his ship. "Now, we prepare for the real battle," Jake replied. "The main Devourer fleet will be here in a few months, and they'll be ready for what we can do. Do you think we can win?" Jake looked out at the stars, sensing the vast network of human-commanded ships scattered across the galaxy. Each one was crewed by people who had discovered they were capable of far more than they had ever imagined. "The Architects left us their technology because they believed we could do something they couldn't," he said. "Not just fight the Devourers, but redeem them, show them a better path. And if some of them refuse redemption, then we'll do what we have to do to protect the innocent," Jake said simply. "But we'll never stop offering them the chance to change." Zara smiled. "When I first met you, I thought humans were primitive and backwards. Now I'm beginning to think you might be the most advanced species in the galaxy." "We're not advanced," Jake corrected. "We're just willing to grow, and sometimes that's the most important quality of all." The war was far from over. The main Devourer fleet was still approaching, and not all of the galaxy's civilizations were ready to accept human leadership. But for the first time in millions of years, there was real hope that the cycle of consumption and destruction could be broken. Humanity had proven itself worthy of the Architect's legacy. Now they had to prove they could build something better than what came before.